All right, we are live with the April 2026 Outturn preview tasting. Myself, Scott Bruno with the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, and joining me tonight is
Mark Broda from Scotch for Dummies.
And you'll be hosting the SMWS tasting in Indianapolis as well. And you've hosted a few there already, or a couple?
Yeah, we've done a couple, and we've got one coming up. I think in a week or so. So pretty excited about it, especially with this Outturn. So.
Yep, we are pre-filming this, so these whiskeys that we are going through, some people, and this is going to post during the live in-person events that are happening for the April 2026 Outturn preview tasting. Myself, I'm going to be hosting the tasting in Tampa. That's where I will be when this is premiering, and Mark, you will be at the live in-person event in Indianapolis.
Right.
Yeah. So we do have 6 whiskeys real quick. April is sherry takeover themed. Every cask that we are releasing in April has a sherry influence to it. Part of the SMWS now also, when you go to the home page, smwsa.com, right by the little shop button up there is going to be a new tab just to the left of it with a little gosh darn, it just left me now what we're calling it, but there's going to be a little tab up there. We've got a new page now just for sherry that'll be up there for April, detailing Oloroso, Pedro Jimenez influences, which all of these whiskeys that Mark and I are looking at tonight will be Pedro Jimenez and or Oloroso influenced. But there'll be a new page up there that you can click on that. Take you in there. We've got a great page set up with a lot of information, great video and things like that on it. But go take a look at that. So let's get into this, though, for April and our first whiskey.
Let's do it, Scott.
We're going to look at cask number 11.61. Will spark a conversation. This is a 9-year-old in the spicy and sweet profile. Exclusive maturation on this one in a first fill ex Pedro Jimenez butt. Bottled at 60.1% ABV. It's a 9-year-old, if I didn't say that.
648 bottles came out of this, out of
that Pedro Jimenez. But yep, Bud's one of the biggest, aging vessels out there. So you always see, it seems like 500, 600, 700 bottles out of one of those.
So hopefully a good number of them came over here to the States.
Yeah, and I pulled that up to see because I know somebody's going to ask. 72 bottles in the States.
Well, it's over 10% of the Outturn for that, so can't complain.
I don't know if we've... Oh, yeah, I've got enough light here. Color on this one. This one is spicy and sweet, so I think a little bit... actually, for a 9-year exclusive maturation, not quite as much influence there. I don't think I would... I would expect more. I mean, getting tongue-tied.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on how old that cask was.
Right.
How spent.
Burnt caramel on the nose. Malty.
I get spicy. I don't know if it's red pepper, red chili, maybe cayenne a little bit. Something smells pretty spicy in there.
Raspberries and the dark fruits.
I get canned fruits.
I just got hairspray.
What kind though? Was it Aquanet?
I know. I can remember when I was, like when I was little and Mom was getting ready and spraying her hair. I think that might be the first time I've ever noted hairspray. Nice nose though, really coming out of the glass.
Oh, yeah, very pungent.
And I forgot
there's a sweetness coming out underneath it now. It's actually starting. I mean, I pre-poured this one maybe 5-10 minutes ago. So it's aired a little bit, but it still could stand to air out a little bit more. But I guess it's 60% ABV.
Yeah. And, all of these, I would expect to start showing those sherry notes a little bit more as they get some air. As you have a couple of drams out of that bottle and it gets down a little bit, starts to oxidize. I would expect all of these to start showing some even better sherry notes. Now, I have tested and sampled these ahead of time. There are some stunners in here, let's put it that way. But I think all of these will probably even evolve, I guess you could say, a little bit more as they get some air. But I'm ready to go in on my first sip.
Absolutely.
Cheers. Woo! With 60.1% ABV hits you up front. That thing is spicy.
There's a peach note on there. I got
Peach.
like vanilla and peach, almost like
Yeah,
like vanilla ice cream on a nice piece of peach pie or something. That um, after you get past that ABV for sure. But
right.
I love the nose on it though. It's a banger. It's I
A
mean,
little bit of wood glue on the finish, dark notes, dark fruits.
I pre-poured the palate with a little dram of something, and it was just regular ABV, man. And I don't think I was ready for that 60.
Let me get
I
some.
almost got a little bit of a honey graham cracker on that last. I want to put a few drops on it and see what
Right.
happens to it. It's probably going to take a few seconds for that to open up, but
I see your peach. I see that peach you're getting in there.
I really am getting a long finish of honey graham cracker right now. Um, but it just goes.
A
9
little bit
year?
honey graham cracker, and then the chutney. Kind of, it's like the apricot chutney that you use with charcuterie boards. It's
That
almost
sounds
like a slice of salami with some apricot chutney on it.
Oh, wow. That water did not take long to just freaking open this thing up like a flower. Amazing how much softer it is. I'm not
Mm.
getting nearly the red pepper cayenne chili on the nose. Much softer.
Almost a chili pepper chocolate now with the water. Yeah, really toning down the ABV. Spiciness still there.
Is
And
it?
I'm
Have you
even going to
tasted
add,
it with water?
yep, just went in there. That brought out the chili chocolate.
Boy, I'm torn on this one. I really liked it neat, but I really like that nose with water. Yeah, the nose with water is just so inviting. There's a softness to it that I really didn't expect to come out of that really
Right.
chili nose. That really, when there was a high ABV and that chili note, and it was really just punching you. And now it's God, it's so much softer.
Yeah, I think honestly, this one neat was a little too hot for me. It was just it was too spicy, too compressed. That kind of that wood glue note is gone with the water. It's toned everything down. It softened it up. More of the kind of the sweeter fruits of that Pedro Jimenez are showing. I think like the raspberries, the tarts, a little bit of fresh baked goods in there with it. Spicy still, chocolatey.
It stays on your tongue for a long time, even watered down. Uh, so 9-year-old, you said, and did you get into the price point on this bottle?
I think it is. I've got it on the ticker there. This one is $110, $115 will be. So these will be available. You're watching this Monday night. These will all be available on Tuesday. So tune in tomorrow after this previews. Ready to move on to number 2?
Number 2, what do you got?
Say hello to number 2. Cask number 105.53. Sweeties at the Bazaar. Again, a spicy and sweet. This is a 10-year-old Speyside. Double cask maturation on this one, ex-bourbon hogshead, and then first fill ex-Pedro Jimenez hogshead. 63.6% on this one, so we're going up a little bit. And the years, I know somebody's going to ask, we had 4 years in ex-bourbon, 6 years in that first fill ex-Pedro Jimenez hogshead.
That's exciting.
Yep.
So I do not have any experience with this distillery whatsoever. I don't think I've ever tasted anything from them. So I'm very excited about at least trying to get at their distillate. That's one thing I like about SMWS is they usually you can find if you're really familiar with the distillery, you get one from SMWS and you can really see it shine from a different angle,
Right. Definitely. Yeah, I don't know if there are any official bottlings from Distillery 105, normally used in blends. But yeah, SMWS, that's one of the great things is being able to try those littler distilleries that
Right.
usually are only used in blends. And, here it is at single cask strength form. And
Yeah,
they
you're
don't,
probably never going to see this on a shelf here in the States, So the fact that I'm
right.
getting a chance to try it here in the US is exciting.
Ooh.
63.6 too.
This one definitely sweeter on the nose and more caramel. This is like you're melting caramel in the kitchen. You just stuck your nose right in that pan.
There's
Cinnamon.
there's some maltiness underneath it too. Honestly, I get barley, not malted barley, but barley. Um, Not nearly as spicy as that number 11.
Not
Um,
not on the nose anyway, right?
no, exactly.
Two different noses completely.
Well, and same profiles though, right? So same flavor profile from SMWS, but just to
Mhm.
show you kind of the breadth of what a flavor profile is, right?
Ready to get in on the palate on this one,
I'm
Mark.
dying to. I was waiting for you.
More tobaccos, not near the burn, not near the spiciness of the first one of the 11, but wow. Tobaccos and caramels.
Juicier. I'm getting a juicier note out of it. Um, Not as edgy. And I think that chili, spicy note on the first one was what I'm referring to when I say not as edgy. This one is definitely more rounded, a little more sweetness. I love the tobacco note. I mean, I like that in whiskey. Um, but I'm also a sherry bomber, right? I mean, when you told me these were all sherry whiskey, I was like, oh, geez.
Yeah, this is my jam. Also,
Yeah, yeah, it
my
is. Sweeties at the Bazaar. 198 bottles out of this cask.
Werther's caramels, those hard little candy things that Grandpa always carried around in his pocket all the time, probably melted.
Much sweeter nose than the first one.
Right.
I mean, every time I go in there, it just gets sweeter and
Mm.
sweeter compared to that first whiskey.
I'm throwing a few drops of water on this one, but
Mhm.
palate again on this one, very nice finish. I'm looking for different fruits. I'm not necessarily getting the fruits. I'm getting the tobaccos. I'm getting the caramels. I'm getting a little bit of a black pepper spice.
I might agree with you on that black pepper. I don't get as much of the tobacco as I want. I get a nice sweet undertone of everything. There's always that sugar base that I'm getting, that sweetness on it. Um, and honestly, a barley note on the palate. I really think that the nose and the palate are in line here. I know I could probably afford to put more water in this at 63, but I'm actually going to put a little less than that first one.
Just as sweet, a little salted caramel.
That's strange that that a little water brings out that briny note. Um,
Hmm.
Actually, I get more of the caramel note with water than I did neat. You had mentioned caramel neat, and I wasn't really getting that. Um, and I think that the water kind of took the tobacco away from me.
Yeah, it did a little bit. Yep. But no, the
I still
caramel
get it
on
on
the
the
nose.
nose.
Caramel was so present on the nose, even. But yeah, throughout it. So wow.
And so far, both of those bottles are right where you kind of expect them to see as far as price point. You know, I mean, there's always a little variance depending on, you know, maturations and distilleries and ages, but that's right where I expect them to be.
Yeah, both very nice. I think there's probably a little, even though it was spicier, the first one, the 11, it was spicier, a little bit more. I definitely had some raspberries and stuff on that one. This one, I'm looking for those fruits. I'm getting more of the caramels, the chocolates, the tobaccos, maybe a little bit of the leather. It's a little drier, I think, maybe even. But yeah, both good whiskeys. All right. Say hello to number 3. Cask number 85.100. Thunder Chops is the name of this one. Deep, rich,
I,
and dried fruits profile. A 13-year-old double cask maturation here, ex bourbon hogshead, and then a first fill ex Pedro Jimenez barrique. So you did bring up, and when you go to our sherry featurette, that'll be there on the home screen now for April's Outturn. A few different facts are, as you scroll down through the screen, there's some information, but 90% of all sherried seasoned, or 90% of all sherry casks are seasoned specifically for whiskey maturation and are not reused from the wine trade. And I can remember 8 to 10 years ago, when we were getting started on YouTube, and you as well, a lot of people would kind of holler about these distilleries that were using sherry seasoned casks.
Right.
It's like it was a transition from wine industry casks that had this really rich, 30 years of sherry in the casks, to only 10% of the casks that are used nowadays are from the wine industry. But Mark, you had a good point on a couple of these, like the sherry butts or this ex sherry barrique is obviously probably from the wine industry and could be bucking that trend.
And that to me is exciting. I'm not saying that the seasoned casks don't work, but
Mhm.
you're getting
Right.
a traditional real cask. Now, when you talk about the sherry industry, though, a lot of those bodegas don't want to come off of those casks because the whole point of that is to have a dead cask for that sherry, right? So they might have a 150-year-old cask they don't want to come off of. But when we get a chance to get a whiskey that was in one of those, you got to take it.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, I wanted to tell you, as you were reading Thunder Chops, it literally thundered outside of my house. So
Oh, really? Yeah. There you
I'm
go.
like, uh-oh, what am I getting into?
All right. 80 cask 85 100 on the
Ooh.
nose.
So did you put that up against that paper? I think this one
I
actually
did
brings
not.
a little bit
I
more darkness
did
to
not
it.
on that one. Here we
Yeah,
go. Little bit darker.
bit more earthiness on this.
This one's right in between. There's not spiciness jumping out at you. There's not caramels. This is darker, toffee, grassy.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe a little bit of matchsticks, burnt
Oh,
matchsticks. I get honestly really traditional PX noses, what you expect to get on PX, right? There's no hiding that. I did say I it gets a little bit earthy on it for me.
yes.
Um, and I gotta say, this distillery 85 is not something I would have ever tried or gotten into had it not been SMWS. And to me, it's a sleeper. It's an SMWS sleeper.
It
People
is.
that know the main brands will shy away from this when they find out what it is until you've had it and you're like, well,
Mhm.
there's my my
Yeah.
deal, my hidden gem.
Yep.
Okay, so our
Mm.
Dirta fans are you know rich dried fruits.
Woo.
There you go. That's what's
Oh,
in the glass.
that's the gift that just keeps on giving there, Clark.
Oh man, there's a
Woo. Christmas Vacation quote there, not calling Mark Clark.
there's oh, I got it. It's a really long finish. It's
Mm.
sweet and maybe vanilla cherries.
Ooh. Yeah. Cherry mashes. Those old cherry with the surrounded in the chocolate.
So just
But
I know you and I are kindred hearts in this, but when it comes to this profile, that's at least half of my SMWS bunker, right? I mean, so this hits home.
yeah. Yeah.
I
Um,
honestly think 57% is perfect for it.
yeah, very good, neat. There's a definitely, I think, did you say on the nose like a grassiness or a barley? Was that this one or the one before?
Now that was the one before, but I get it on this. I can
Yeah.
see you say that.
Uh-huh. On the palate. I didn't get on the nose, but definitely a grassiness, barley, maltiness on the palate with this one. Rich fruits. Um,
Very rich. Um, honestly, to me, the flavor is a little bit darker than the color. I mean, it's not the color is a little mischieving,
yeah.
not not telling. But I've got to put a drop on this. But I really like it at 57.
Yeah. And I confused myself for a second because I was thinking this one was Oloroso, and I about said this one has more Pedro Jimenez notes than it does Oloroso. But that's the reason, because it is Pedro Jimenez. It's not Oloroso.
Boy, you're sharp.
I know. Raspberry chocolate. This is a dessert. This is a rich fudge, warm fudge dessert with some raspberry
Surprisingly enough,
glaze.
it's not really viscous and heavy and oily. It's still light on the palate.
I agree. Very good, neat. I'm going to throw a couple drops of water on here.
Man, vanilla sweetness, just vanilla ice cream, French vanilla bean comes out, and that just.
Ooh.
But that's what's underneath all of those fruits. Yeah, this is a dessert in a glass. This is
French
delicious.
French vanilla bean ice cream in a waffle cone. Yeah, it's amazing. So this one was what 10-3, so 3 years in the first fill ex Pedro Jimenez. Great influence here on this one. It's really that was an active cask, and this was a barrique, so maybe this one was from the wine industry.
Well, I think you also are getting a good foundation of that 10-year ex-bourbon. You can definitely get that on the palate. You taste that ex-bourbon note under there. That's that sweetness, that vanilla is the base. And then you've got that, like you said, that active PX coming on top. Well done.
A little bit of an Andes mint on the tail end.
Oh,
A
really?
hint of an Andes mint.
Yeah, I think you and I could put some damage on that.
Yeah,
But again, that's a sleeper distillery for me. It's not a
it is.
distillery that I knew anything about until I was a member of SMWS.
And their sherry cask. I mean, I think I don't. I mean, I'm recalling the majority of our casks from Distillery 85 are probably sherry influenced, but 85 and sherry goes together like chocolate and peanut butter. Chocolate,
And that's why I end up getting exposed to it, because I was a huge Dirta fan. I was going through that sherry phase. That's all I wanted.
Mm.
So it came through with that profile, and I'm like, you know what? They've
Mm.
never steered me wrong. I got to try it. And here, here we are years later. And that's kind of honestly what I want to say, though, is the one thing about being an SMWS member, you really put some faith and have some trust in it and try that. Shop by profile. Don't look at a number. Man, you'll be surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, here we go.
So, ironically enough, this one is a spicy and dry profile, but it's a distillery that I equate to deep, rich, and dried fruits.
Yeah. Standard distillery 30 off the shelf, always sherry influenced, sherry matured. But
Yep.
So this one's 60.3% spicy and dry profile, double maturation here of ex bourbon hogsheads and first fill ex Oloroso hogshead.
Right. So we're
Finally,
going Oloroso,
yep, deviating from the Pedro Jimenez tonight.
which
And
huge fan of Oloroso.
same on the color. Really, color's been pretty consistent tonight across the board. Not too much deviance, but
I'll tell you what, I think they nailed the profile on the nose.
ooh, oh, wait a minute. That is whoa.
I mean, I'm gonna trust in the profile that says spicy and dry, and that's not just ABV. That's just lighting up the sinuses. I get a really heavy, grassy, heathery note on it. Straw, standing straw, not cut. You know what I mean? It's not baled up. It's just you walk out into a hay field or a straw field, and you get that still green a little bit.
What is I've been boy, that's not a caramel. I mean, it's kind of a caramel, but it's a. I hate to keep using caramel here. We got a lot of sherry going, but this is the nose on this one was definitely different from the start. It is, and I'm doing the flavor. I'm scrolling my flavor wheel in my head. What it's a rich, dark.
Okay. So, while we were talking on bottle 3, I had this pre-poured clearly, and I had a topper on it, and I think I should have left it off, because in the 60 seconds to 2 minutes I've had that off, it is already evolving, and I'm starting to get some of those Oloroso notes, whereas before it was spice, ABV heat, and grass, straw.
Yeah, now I mean I had mine getting some air for a little bit, but no spice. I mean no heat. I mean there's some baking spices. It's more. I think the nose that I was getting it was almost like a chocolate covered raisin. Prunes or even like stewed fruits, dark fruits.
Yeah, I would go so far as to say a little bit of that old book leather. Oh man, I'm gonna love this. I haven't even tasted it yet.
All right,
We gotta try this.
Time for some tasting. Mm-mm. Woo! Woo! All right.
Surprisingly more juicy than I thought it was going to be, but definitely fits the profile. There's a spicy note running down through the middle of that. It stays on the tongue.
This one, by the way, 12 and 3. So 12 years ex-bourbon, 3 years in the Oloroso. Very active cask here. There's a lot of influence from the Oloroso on this one. Wow. Let me double check that. But
I will say, though, similarly to the last bottle, there's still a good ex-bourbon foundation. I still get some ex-bourbon notes, some of those, some strong sugars and vanillas holding the Oloroso on top. But yeah, there is a spiciness that I didn't expect either. Well, other than the name, the profile says spicy and dry.
right. Very good, neat, sweet, juicy, just makes you salivate. Little bit, there's some tobaccos, little bit of a butterscotch, the vanillas, toasted, sweet, fruits.
There's a fruit candy that I'm tasting, and I can't place what it is. I'm running through my childhood of all the candy I've eaten, and I'm still a candy head. At 53, I still love candy. But there's definitely a sweet, fruity candy that I'm getting on the late palate, early finish. Although I think I get a long spicy note on my tongue from the finish. It just lasts.
I don't get spicy like peppers, like jalapeno pepper or Szechuan pepper, not even black pepper. Probably more baking spices of the nutmeg and the cinnamon.
I can almost get cotton candy on the nose after it's been opened up. I got to put a couple more. I don't even think I put any water on this yet.
A little bit of tobacco, little bit of leather, old bookshop, cigar shop.
See, that's what the water brought out. Instead of bringing out more vanillas, which water traditionally does, will bring that bourbon note out, right? I'm getting more Oloroso note.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, it was good, neat. It's good with some water on it, though, too. That bottle will drain fast around here.
I'll tell you what, I was really sparing with the water. It's got a couple drops, but perfecto. With just a little bit of water, opens up, brings more of that Oloroso out, and then we're doing damage. Would you say 165?
Yeah.
All right. So I only have 2 kidneys to sell. I guess
they have to be in good shape though too.
Right.
If you want to sell them, you could probably drop them off at Goodwill.
But anyway, I digress.
No, excellent bottle there. And number 5 is a younger one. We're moving backwards a little bit here in age, but there is a lot of influence on this one.
Well,
so it's going to hold its own in our lineup here. But the cask number 8.48, Flamenco Dancers Union Break. This is a 9-year-old, deep, rich, and dried fruits, 59.2% ABV, exclusive maturation in a first fill ex Pedro Jimenez butt.
There's your difference.
Yeah.
So this thing spent all 9 years in PX bud, hence it produced 636 bottles out of it.
I don't know if the light is showing it. This one is darker. This is probably the darkest one of the night so far.
This distillery's distillate is made for being sherried because that's all they do.
Yeah.
Right.
They're off the shelf bottlings, phenomenal. Now they do have a cigar malt that came out last year or the year before that I want to try. I've heard really good things about. I've seen it, have not picked it up, but
I've had so many bangers from this distillery, and I'll be honest with you. Let's look at 48. So SMWS has only picked 48 casks, and they were the 8th distillery, Scott. So they don't get many of these. Right. I mean, if you're not going to grab one of these, you're not paying attention. I'm grabbing 2. I mean, 48 bottles and they were the 8th distillery.
Yeah. I mean, when you think of Distillery 53 and we're over 500 casks that we've released from, and there's a few in the 300s and the 400s. But yeah, like you pointed out, this is the 8th distillery we ever purchased whiskey from. This is only the 48th cask that we've ever released. It shows that we do not release too many casks from this distillery. And you mentioned it. I'm going to say it now. I've tasted this one. This is if you buy this one, you will want to buy 2 bottles because you'll wish you would have.
Hey, out of curiosity, 636 bottles. Can you tell me what the U.S. allocation is?
There are 78 coming to the States.
Well, you might as well just say 76.
74.
The number's
Yeah.
going down, kids.
All right. There's the nose, somewhat concentrated.
It might be a little bit tight. 59.2.
The nose is really concentrated here. Neat. I'm trying to discern some of the outs. We've discussed all the notes tonight, but it's spicy. It's meaty.
There's a note on this that I get in most of my traditional sherried whiskeys. Before COVID, it was a note I got on all of them. COVID kind of messed things up for me, but I still get it. And it's a sulfur note, a rubber tire sulfur note. When I smell that, that's a tradition in my head that says this thing's sherried. I know, you know what I mean? There's a particular distillery out there, Distillery 24, that if I get that note, I know it's that distillery. It just is what it is. Can't hide it from me. But I get it here.
Yeah, I'm not getting any sulfur on the nose. Now that you're not, I mean, everybody has their own nose, and it could come through on the palate.
I got to taste it.
Yep, let's get in there. I think that's the most sherried one of the night. And wow.
Yep.
Do what?
I said golf clap. Chew on that for a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This one is rich, it's sulfury, it's meaty. Not real sulfur. There is a little bit of sulfur on the palate, but it's meaty, it's savory, it's that charcuterie board of meats and jams. You've got your prosciutto and your salami, and there's even a little bit of deli mustard, and you've put your chutney on apricot chutney on there as well. It's all just together. Olives. It's kind of a little bit briny.
This hits every check mark for me. Boom, 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 boom. The other 4 bottles that we've tried so far, I'm actually interested in a couple of them. They're all great, but to me, can't go wrong. Home run every time.
Yeah, and a reason I saved that one at the end of even though it's a younger one. I mean, we've had a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old, and we go back to an 8-year-old, 9-year-old. What is it? Just looking at the scroller, I forget. 9-year-old. Wow.
Oh man, this is a killer dram. I love this distillery. I love their distillery bottlings. Their batch series is phenomenal, and that's all cask strength stuff. This is what I expect, and the fact that it's only the 48th cask that the SMWS has ever bottled makes it, to me, something that I need in my collection, if you will. So I'm gonna have to buy 2 so I can open them.
And I'm sticking. If I didn't say it, I think I did. But the tobaccos and the leathers are in there still. It's rich. Those deep dark fruits, but really it's more. I mean, the fruits are there underlaying that savory, meaty, salty leather tobacco,
which is crazy because that's really more notes that I associate with Oloroso. And I am notorious for getting them wrong on blinds, right? I mean, you get sherry and you're like, I know this is Oloroso, and then you find out it's PX, and you're like, why did I get that flipped around? Or I know this is PX, and you find out it's Oloroso. But I agree with your notes because I get them there, but I'm also reading the label, and it's 9 years in PX.
right? And I think, and I do the same. Sometimes you think, and I love sherried whiskeys. I'm always drinking sherried whiskeys, and maybe 3 out of 5 times I'm right. That's Oloroso or that's Pedro Jimenez, but I still get thrown for a loop. This one I would think was Oloroso. I think
I would have guessed Oloroso too. I would get it wrong, but I love
there
it.
There is a little bit more of a berry sweetness to it that sometimes goes with the Pedro Jimenez. But other than that, I mean, it's just dark and rich and dry and leathery and tobacco. Yeah, it's just this one's a gorgeous whiskey, and $110. Are you kidding me?
Take my money.
All right. Cask number 10.274. There we go. Life's a Riot. 10-year-old. This is from Isla, of course. Heavily peated. 60.5% ABV. Double maturation on this one. Ex-bourbon hogshead and second fill ex-sherry butt. So the sherry butt that this was in had previously matured SMWS cask number 30.111.
So let's talk about this for a hot second before we get into nosing it. First of all, one of my favorite distilleries. All right. I have a ton of this stuff. They do not peat all of their production, right?
Right.
I think heck, they did years where they didn't peat anything. Then they started doing, month, 2 months. And I think right now they might do up to 50% of their production in peat. But Isla Distillery. So first of all, being a sherry bomber, a peat head, when they marry the two, you're in love.
Yeah.
But it also makes me wonder how long did you say it was in the sherry butt?
This one is 6 and 4. 6 years ex-bourbon, 4 years sherry.
And the 4 years in the sherry held 30 first?
Yeah, so it's second fill fill ex-sherry butt. So that means that this is the second time that whiskey has been in there, right?
Right.
The first time we aged cask number 30.111 in this barrel. And then we put this cask 10.274 went into that barrel.
So we can safely assume that it was peated whiskey out of the distillery, because you guys, SMWS can label something a peated whiskey if it sat in a cask that had peated whiskey before it. It doesn't have to be peated distillate, right?
Right. And we've had that. Yeah.
Exactly. But this is not. This is peated distillate out of Distillery 10 is what I'm thinking.
Right. Yes. I get a smoked peanut, heavy peat and smoked nuts. There's a lot of times with peated sherried whiskeys, I can tell you it's peated and it's sherried, but a lot of times the peat masks kind of those sherry notes. But I can tell you there's a dark peat here. It's not, peat out of ex-bourbon is brighter. It's, there's vanillas and there's citruses. None of that here. This is peat. Nope. It's dark.
I will tell you this. In the last, I would say, year or so, I've admitted to my peat meter being off to the point where, like, there are times when you could pour a Highland Park 12 and I won't get peat on it just because I've drank so much peat whiskey. That's not the case here. You could have blinded me and I would have told you there's peat on this whiskey. It's peated. But it's not a soot, creosote, iodine, medicinal peat. None of that.
We've got a nice balance of peat and dark sweet. I just got pomegranate, which is I don't know if I've gotten pomegranate before, but it's like a tangy dark fruit with that peat.
Okay. Delicious. I will say that it's peatier than I thought it was going to be. There's a more edge to it there than I thought. But I really got a tangy barbecue note out of that on the back end. That's got a little bit of molasses, strawberry. Son of a gun! You're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah, strawberries, pomegranates. There's a bit of a tangy, almost tropical fruit note in there with it, but peat, a little bit of tobaccos again, still kind of a recurring theme tonight. I think this almost comes off as a little bit older than 10 years. There's so much cask influence from the sherry. There's so much peat influence. I do like the heavily peated flavor profile on this one.
I think it's appropriate, especially coming from somebody whose peat meter is a little bit broken. There's been a couple of wines that I've done in the last month or so that I've missed the peat, and I'm like, how could I miss that?
Even neat. I haven't added water. So sippable, neat. Reese's peanut butter cups, smoked, even a little bit of a smoked fish, smoked salmon.
It is so much more fruitier than you think coming off the nose, right? So when you put it on your palate, the peat is there, but there's so much more flavor on top of the peat. Really interesting. Very good. I love when you marry a good sherry bomb with a peat.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know,
I agree.
it's like the best of both worlds.
It is. It is. Yep. That's what I say too. Oh yeah. I love sherried whiskeys. I love peated whiskeys, and I really love sherried peated whiskeys. So $165 on this one.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. That's as a SMWS member, that one comes in a little bit higher, and let me explain why. I'll try. I'm not a I'm just a member. Number one, the distillery. Number two, the combination of X Sherry and PX. I get it. I understand why this one's going to be a little bit pricier. It's going to be a hot commodity. Even at that price, it's going to go. I have a ton of this distillery in my basement. Love this distillery. I have a ton of SMWS from this distillery. I mean, there's, you name it, this distillery, and I go way back. This is delicious, Scott. This is really
get some water. If you haven't added water yet, add water. Definitely opens it up and brings in a little bit of a pine forest on fire note. But
put a shot on it.
Yeah, just speaking, price again, general. So this is a great distillery. It's one of my favorite distilleries. With a 10-year-old, I think you're probably talking, $130, $140 anyway. Throw in the sherry cask maturation into it. That's going to bump it up a little bit. Sherry cask costs money.
Right.
So, they're at the 165, not bad at all. Gorgeous whiskey, salty smoked peanuts. I'm giving tasting notes and talking about the price here at the same time.
So that water tamed the peat on the nose down to the point where I get a lot more of that fruit. I get a lot more of that sherry note. I get a lot more fruitiness coming over where the peat is really subdued. I'm very curious to see what it does to the palate. Wow. Man, I'm excited about a couple of these. It's a shame Ben couldn't join us. I haven't had a chance to enjoy a good whiskey with that guy in a long time, and he is
right?
A sherry wealth of knowledge. So I'll have to catch up with him another time. But Scott,
well, hey, let's wrap this one up. But thanks to everybody that tuned in. Again, I'm clicking. I've got two computers here. I'm clicking on the wrong one, but smwsa.com. If you want more information on how to become a member, go there, smwsa.com.
That's it.
If you are a member, remember last year we kicked in loyalty point rewards. So check your loyalty points. You get more points you get, the more benefits you get. And thanks, Mark, for joining me tonight. And again, this will be Monday night, April 6th, and we'll be hosting live in-person events. And we'll see y'all.
Well, Scott, can I give a PSA?
Yeah.
SMWS, not for swigging, glugging, or knocking back. Please drink responsibly.
Please drink responsibly. Cheers.
Cheers, brother.